Hello YouTube and welcome back to the Drunken Kobold. Today we are reviewing Malevolence for Pathfinder 2e. Malevolence is a standalone horror adventure designed to take players from 3rd level to 6th level. Malevolence has a content warning at the beginning of the book, so let's start with that. Content warning. Malevolence presents a fully detailed haunted house, a place filled with horror, tragedy, and elements that some players might find uncomfortable. These elements include body horror, filicide, domestic violence, gore, mental illness, mental trauma, mutilation, physical trauma, and suicide. Before you run this adventure, understand that consent from everyone at the table, including the players and the game master, is vital to a safe and fun play experience. You should talk with your players before beginning the adventure and modify descriptions or events as appropriate. So, Malevolence takes place at the Zarwin Manor, a abandoned haunted house that stands on top of the ghost town Crooked Cove. It is a 3-tier house, a ground floor, a top floor, and a basement. It also has a very vast garden. All 3 have maps included in the book. For those looking to run it at the table, there is a flip mat for the Malevolence building itself, but I'm not sure if the flip mat actually includes the dungeon, but it is probably still worth looking at if you are looking at considering running this on the tabletop. I built the building with Warlock tiles using the Town and Village set. Town and village angles, dungeon dressings, torture chamber, stairs and ladders, as well as dungeon tiles 1. So this was a very easy to build adventure. Oh yes, and I also had the marketplace here for the fountain in the gardens. But it is a really easy building to build. If you are using Warlock tiles, just follow along on the maps as you click your tiles together. One last set that you will need is the 1-inch town and village set as well. So Malevolence takes you through the 3 tiers of the haunted house, and you're confronting an entity that is essentially possessing the house. The Malevolence can never actually be truly defeated unless you work through the entire intricacies of the book, and I have to say that my players almost would have left without fully defeating it. They thought that they were done and it was over. So it did take a little longer than planned to go through this book. I had planned 2 sessions at most to go through the 3 chapters, and we actually needed 3 sessions, 1 per chapter. So that is something to consider, is to dedicate a little bit of extra time to this book. It may be needed. Overall, the Adventurer's Toolbox has some really cool stuff that you can add to other horror-themed campaigns, particularly the Abomination Vaults, which we just finished covering. The good news is you can also take a lot of Abomination Vaults and incorporate it into this book. Because this book also makes mention of the ghost town that Zarwin Manor stands over, you could build on this adventure with further homebrew content, and it is going to work great. Because it is a 3rd level adventure, you can also have homebrew content that leads up to this adventure. It slots in very nicely, and I have to say it is great as part of an overarching campaign or as essentially a one-shot adventure. I have to say that if you are a fan of Dungeons & Dragons 5e, the Domains of Dread also fit really nicely here if you wanted to run this in, say, D&D 5e. But there are a lot of unique monsters here that do not have D&D variants, so you are going to have to do some conversions. One of my favorite monsters from this toolbox, I'm just going to go to it right now, is the Tangle Bones. Like, look at how terrifying and gross that is. You have skeletons of humans, dogs, everything has just been thrown into this mass and consumed by what appears to be an ooze, but it's actually just rot and decay from the bones. This is an undead being through and through. Overall, some of these artworks are actually really cool. Like, look at that one there. Doesn't that just inspire feelings of awe and wonder in you? And if you were in a horror theme campaign and seen that, wouldn't it also inspire feelings of fear? This is a really, really well-designed book. I have to say that the ability to like reference your monsters here, with the majority of them being in the back of the book, similar to a Dungeons and Dragons module, is really, really cool. And you do have a lot of lore here on the Malevolence itself, so that you know how to actually beat it, so that way when your players are going through, you're not constantly having to think, oh wait, what is happening now? I have to say, like, these maps are really, really cool. But one thing that I have heard several times is that if you get these maps from the PDF on Paizo, they do not work well with your virtual tabletop. I personally don't have any problems with it, but there are fixes for it found online. Aaron Shanks with Paizo has said that they are working on better digital quality maps, so I do look forward to seeing that come to fruition. One thing that you are not able to do with Warlock tiles, as I mentioned them earlier in the dungeon level, is the Caverns area up here. Caverns is due out in September and late August, so you will have to wait for those to come out to be able to fully finish this map. But other than that, you are good to go. A lot of that map can be put together with map packs and flip mats as already exist from the Paizo product line. Have you had a chance to run Malevolence? I personally loved it. My players liked it, but I want to know your thoughts. If you liked it or your players liked it, let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know if they disliked it. What did you not like about it, so that I can take that into consideration too. In the meantime, cheers, and may the rolls be with you.